Good morning, everybody. Well, that's loud. I'll calm it down a little bit, right? This is on me totally. I just speak loud. My wife says, you talk too much and you speak too loud. Just calm it down. So I'm learning. It was about 4 years ago. I was let go from my job. I was out of the military for 3 years already. I was let go from another job. These things happen, right? A friend of mine calls me up. She goes, Matt, you've got to apply for this job. I'm like, I trust you. What is this? She goes, it's PMI. I'm like, what is that? I had no idea 4 years ago what PMI was. But my recruiter friend said, apply for this job, Matt. We want to hire you. I'm like, no one knows me at PMI. So I went through 5 rounds of interviews. And people say, that's a lot, right? I didn't think it's a lot. I thought I'm meeting great people and learning good things. So the more people I spoke to and we had conversations about this, I learned, God, this is a great organization. I do want to work here, right? So I get to the last interview and they told me, Matt, this job isn't for you. It was more of a sales role. And I'm not a salesman. I spent my years in the military just doing military work. They said, this job isn't for you. We're going to hire somebody else. I'm like, great. They said, but everyone liked how you interviewed. We want to bring you on to do something at PMI. Don't know what yet. So now I'm at PMI almost 4 years later, leading their military affairs division. So sometimes it's about the connections we make with the people we interview with that give us opportunities. This is one of the reasons why I work so hard for PMI and the people I'm privileged to serve, and that's our military community. So I will do this job until I can't. That's what I'm going to do here. My name is Matt Quick. I am the head of military affairs for Project Management Institute. I am based out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg, formerly Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg. But I get to travel around and just really speak with people about the project profession. In my role, I have 3 pillars. Advocate for the profession, make it easy for our community to find the resources to earn certifications and get job ready. I don't make the exam any easier, and I'll get into that later on. My 3rd pillar is community. This is why I'm here with the PMI Carolina chapter, because this is my community. I'm a chapter member. I don't get here often enough, but I'm working on that, Madam President. I'll figure that out. But today I want to really talk about the resources we have that PMI got with the military to give all our veterans, and really why we hire veterans and why we retain them, and it's a good business plan. This is a snapshot of my last 15 years in the military. These jobs may mean nothing to you because most jobs in the military mean nothing. The titles themselves mean nothing to anyone that's not military affiliated. I can give you a rank, I can give you this, but this is my job. But when I got to PMI, and I started learning about what the project profession was, these were my jobs looking through a project profession lens. So once we see what we did in the past, you may find out the majority of folks here in every industry have been on a project team or are on project teams. This is why we advocate for, I get asked, Matt, should I get the PMP? I don't sell the PMP, but I'll tell you why you should get it. Are you a project manager? They said, not really. I'm involved in projects. Well, how about the Certified Associate in Project Management, the CAPM? That way you learn that language. So I learned a language. I got certified in CAPM. Quick story. Some people, my peers in the military and outside of the military, maybe even someone in this room right here, told me, Matt, just go get certified. It's easy. You've been doing it for years. So I said, bet. I I got my 23 hours of training. It wasn't through PMI. I just got the oddball training you see out elsewhere. But I got my 23 hours. I was ready to go. I set that exam, and for some reason, I was feeling like anxiety. I'm like, I haven't taken a test in like 20 years. I'm not very good at school. So I went in and took a test. All these cameras are around you. So I'm clicking through. I don't understand anything I was looking at. It was like a different language to me. Then I clicked submit. And it said, you failed. I'm like, well, look at that. I proved those people right. You just can't do this and expect to pass. So I immersed myself into the project language. I used PMI's tools. I used PMI study hall. And then I passed the test the next time because I learned that language. I was at a influencer conference last month. A friend of mine, she says, Matt, I know 6 languages. I'm like, how do you learn 6 languages? I can barely speak one, English. She goes, I said, let me guess. And we both said at the same time, immersion. So if we take our military professionals, if we immerse them into our community, they will learn the language. And things we did in the military, I spent years as a project and program manager in the military. We weren't trained on how to do this. We just figured it out. Oh my goodness, it's already figured out for us with this community, with PMI. So I get to go around and speak to our military professionals, and one of my goals is not to get people certified as they transition, because that right now is what people are doing. They get certified as a transition. They believe that, well, it's a newer certification, and that's what the employer wants. First of all, you have no idea what the employer wants. You're in the military right now. You do military stuff. Employers want experience. So I teach folks, if you get trained earlier in your careers, if you get certified after that, and you apply those principles and frameworks to your current jobs, all that will now count as experience, industry experience, which that's what employers want. They don't care that it's a brand new certification, that you just got it. They want the experience to go with it. So I talk about, on the left here is what PMI says it is, on the right is what the military context is. In the military, we do a lot of different things, whether it's EOD operations, whether it's change of command ceremonies, retention missions, whatever it is, these are all projects. And instead of figuring these things out, we do this. PMI does it for us. So what's project management? And this is where people say, Matt, that's what we do right now. It's the same thing. I'm like, let's dive deeper then. Because over here is what the military decision-making process is. This is how the military is really trained to do their planning. So if I look at here and I walk through these folks, up top, the warning order is a new project. Okay? Project planning is your mission analysis. And down the line, everything correlates very easily with what military already do. Your military community, your veterans, and your military spouses, they're natural project managers because the military trained them to be without telling them what the words are. The military has to do things their own way. They have their own words. They have their own acronyms. But this right here proves that we've been doing project management for years. Didn't know about it. When we're in training, so it probably takes the military 3 months to a year to onboard a veteran or a military person. And they go through these different levels of training. Your NCO professional development, officer professional development. But this right here, the be, know, do model is what the military has. These quadrants here. So I said, well, we have some of that in PMI, right? And what's that called? Anybody? Triangle, right? This is the same thing. This is your be, your know, and your do. This is why, again, I stress to our veteran community, our actively serving military, at least consider project management as a career. First, it's a skill, but it could be a career, though. You've been doing it for years. So when people tell me, well, I'm military police, or I'm HR, or I'm this, sure, you can keep doing that on the outside, but if you don't want to keep doing that specific job, you can always come to the project profession. Because I think we need like 2 million project professionals a year over the next 10 years. And how many people leave the military every year? Anybody know that? Any guesses? 10? 40? 200,000 people leave the military every year. There is plenty of jobs in the project profession for the military veterans. How many graduate college every year? About 2 million a year. So when PMI goes into your academic world, it goes into your colleges, universities, and then adds on the military component on here, that solves that problem pretty quickly. But really it comes down to awareness. And this is where this community comes in. Because sure, we can preach about this all day long, we can advocate for it, but they come to you, they come to the Carolina chapter to find out how to do this, how to get involved. What is the right pathway for the project profession? How do we get certified? I had a question last night online. I'm on LinkedIn a little bit. So I get a lot of questions on LinkedIn about, Matt, I want to get my PMP, but should I get my CAPM first? I said, well, does the military pay for it? They said, no, it's the Marine Corps, and he's an officer, so they got to pay out of pocket, which is another problem. Not for this room right here, though. So I said, well, if you get your CAPM first, and it's cost effective, you can get your PMP without going through 35 hours of training. He said, how's that possible? I'm like, well, earning your CAPM is a prerequisite for your PMP if you don't have that other prerequisites. So he said, okay, I'll do that. So that pathway, earning your CAPM first and your PMP and negating the training, saves him about $800. So now the whole pathway is like $1,200. He's going for it. So really it's us educating our communities on what the best way of doing things are. This is where we come in play right now, because we know our community, the PMI community, is our superpower. It really is. We wouldn't be around PMI Global if we didn't have these chapters to really do all that work. Well, we wouldn't be around here if Lee Lambert wasn't around here either, so that's not a bad thing. But we have 300 chapters worldwide, 130 plus in the U.S., but this is, I'm not sure how you rank file all these chapters, Madam President, but this might be the best chapter in the whole world, right? I'm sure it is. This is why we get involved here. So I get to go around and talk with these great folks. And who here is going to Global Summit? Anybody? You know what Global Summit is? Yes. Wow. 3. Good. All right. Well, I'll see you there anyway. I'll see you there. So we described to you the skills that the veterans have. So why hire them? It's just good business. Veterans are generally drug-free, generally speaking drug-free, and really they're looking to add value to an organization, and they're looking for full-time employment, gainful employment. So their loyalty is really almost unmatched to this generation of folks. If you go to college, university, I've got 2 kids, 29 and 27. One has a full-time job and had it for like 3 years now, and one's had it for 5 years now. But they're leaving soon. But it took them years to figure out, okay, I do want a full-time job. And one is getting into the project profession now. Not because he keeps hearing me talk about it, but he sees, okay, I see I've been doing the same thing over here in a project. So with the veteran community, even our kids, because they're raised by the military as well, they see the value of this. So it's really it's good business to hire veterans. And there's always, of course, tax breaks, all this stuff that is, but they will solve your problem. Who here hires veterans? Anybody? Or who's here a hiring manager? Who do you hire? Anybody?
Pretty much people that have project management and product management experience.
So she hires product managers and project managers. Have you ever considered hiring veterans because of these skills right here or not? Or do you see the value in them yet?
I see value, but they haven't applied to the roles I have advertised. I usually
Let's change that, all right?
It'll be nice. I usually get people, underwriters apply, people that have a lot of transferable skills, but I haven't yet met a military person apply for the roles that I've had.
Okay. So let's get offline after this. We'll try to fix that for you, okay? Because there's a lot of veterans looking for employment that don't know about it. A lot of our veterans seek out what's called military-friendly organizations. What's that mean? It means, we hire veterans. Everyone can hire veterans. It's an easy thing because they go through the interview process. They want the job more than you want to give it to them, probably. But the one thing that is different is the employee resource group. A lot of communities have veteran resource groups. But if you change that word from veteran to military community employment resource group, you may find a wider pool of talent. There's two challenges. With the military community, you're including military spouses. And they're going along their whole careers with their spouses to be, BCSing and changing jobs. The other component is a lot of our female veterans don't identify as veterans. They don't look like veterans in their eyes. I got my Starbucks earlier, and I spoke to the lady making the Starbucks. I get a specific drink. It's more creamer than coffee, okay? That's who I am. I admit that. So I was asking her, could she make this drink? She goes, yes, but it's going to taste kind of strong because I'm weak. So she started saying, are you in the military? I'm like, I'm not anymore, but I used to be. And she started saying how she was a military spouse for 27 years. Her brother-in-law served, her husband served. I'm like, that's great. I'm like, well, thanks for your service for being a military spouse. She goes, oh, I served too for 5 years. She doesn't identify as a veteran. She identifies as a military spouse. So changing that word from military community to from veterans to that, you're going to find a bigger pool of people. And if you even have a veterans or community employee resource group and you highlight that, you're going to attract more people, more veterans to your organization. And these military community groups don't exclude non-veterans. Bring them all in, because veterans tend to learn in a vacuum, and they only learn from veterans. You can expedite learning by having non-veterans teach these veterans what business is all about. So please get all your non-veterans involved too, and get people trained up pretty quickly. These right here are some basic reasons for hiring veterans and retaining them. The leadership. We are trained at a young age. Every 2 years we go through leadership training. Whether we want it or not, we're going through leadership training. A lot of veterans aren't leaders. They want to do work. I get that. But we're trained leadership a lot. Communication. Communication in the military is huge. Is it huge in the project profession? It's kind of critical, right? And these folks can really talk about or talk with people. They're immersed in every culture you can think of, and they get along with most people. So that's what Lee was talking about earlier today is you can give them the processes, you can give them the frameworks, but their interpersonal skills, that's what's key for these veterans. The military spends so much money on training. It's an enormous budget. So this is why, and as our veterans get out of the military, it starts clicking for them that I'm going to get certified in X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do this. So I said, of course, go back 3 years and get trained earlier, get the experience. But all these funding sources are available. The top line, these are all your credentialing opportunities online. This is, the Army spends about, a couple years ago, the Army changed the rules. They were spending $60 million a year on education, on cool, $60 million a year. The Army Secretary says it's been a catastrophic success. A catastrophic success. So they cut funding in half, and now it's down to $8 million a year. Now there's guardrails in place. The guardrails are good for the project profession. Here's why. People are just getting airplane licenses, private pilot licenses. Now they're being told you've got to get a training and certification that aligns to your job. The project profession aligns to any job in the military. So they must get trained and certified. That's not a bad deal there. If they don't take the exam, they'll owe the money back. So there's a forcing function now. So get it early in your careers, you'll be good. The GI Bill. This is either while you're serving or while you're out. And there's like 3 or 4 different chapters of the GI Bill that funds training and exams. Then on the right here is My CAA. This is for the military spouses. The Department of Defense or Department of War now funds military spouses to get their training and certification as well. So I say all this to say there's no excuses. The only excuse we'll hear is, I didn't know about that. That was my thing in the military. I didn't know about it. And, well, I can't get funded. They made it very easy to get funded these days. So now that you're armed with the information, you can go out there and talk about there are funding options. And this is just a chart to blow your mind away. That's all it's about. But really all it does is it shows all the funding sources on the left-hand side, and there's state sources as well. Up top is all PMI certifications and what funding goes with what. So the Army pays for both training and exams. The Air Force, same way. The Marine Corps pays for both, but only enlisted get it. So there's lots of different rules that apply for all the funding resources. But this is all of them mapped out for you to take back and say, you know what? There are funding resources. My cousin served, my uncle served, my aunt served, whatever it is, show them there are resources. And it's not just for the PMP or CAPM, it's for anything. Just make sure that they get a certification aligned to their career. That was funding resources. Here's funding programs. As people get out of the military, one of the most popular programs is Syracuse University's Institute of Veterans and Military Families. It's called the Onward to Opportunity Program. They immerse you into a 1-week boot camp, online, self-paced, I believe, but there are some ILT elements of that. But they pay for the training, the PMI membership, and the exam. They pay for the exam if you're unemployed now. There was a change in the grant funding. But this is a J.P. Morgan Chase Schultz Foundation backed nonprofit, so the money's there. And this program has been producing a lot of different people. And Tabitha and I actually met at one of those cohorts down in Fort Bragg. I went through the program back in 2019. I was HR my whole career. I thought I was HR. I was actually project management. I was HR, so I did my SPHR training with O2O. And then I went to the exam. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do HR anymore. It's not as fun as it was in the military. So I got out of that world and said, nope, and came to project management. Well, when I found it. In Act Now Education, they fund the training and exams for the PMP. So these are your two main funding programs for the PMP. There are, of course, no excuses. That leads me to our military champions. So when I got the PMI a few years ago, I was just traveling a lot. Across the country, visiting military bases, just doing these conversations, these talks all the time. And I was getting wore out. And the reason I left the military after 25 years was because of burnout. I didn't know what it was back then, but I realized after I got out, it's burnout. So I was on the verge of burning myself out, just trying to get the word out to everybody. Just constantly be out in front of everybody. So this year, we brought on a few mentors of mine throughout the years that could be champions for the regions. So this is this year's and next year's champions, because this year in 2025, we're building a program. We're just figuring things out. And then 26, we'll actually ramp it up and push forward. And 27, we'll have a bigger program, an advisory group, that kind of stuff. So PMI supports the community that we're building. The federal government and the military are North America's number 3 priority this year. That right there, that felt good. To be in PMI for almost 4 years now, and we're a priority. So we have the backing now, we have the support, and we have the infrastructure in place to really go forward with this right here. Any questions on the funding sources, skills required, that kind of stuff? That was a lot of information really fast, I get that. But there's much some questions. Go ahead, sir.
Does PMI have an actual course online that does that same type of comparison analysis that a military person can log in and go, oh, I get it now? I mean, the light bulb went off for me, but is there something they can do online to get that same kind of enthusiasm and vision for this?
Not yet, but we're working on it. That's why we rely so heavily on the communities, the chapters. We point everyone back to the chapters. Go see your chapter, get involved with them. I know Rick here he's got a blueprint in place, and I've asked Rick if I can acquire that so I can scale it regionally. He says, what's in it for me? How about a bottle of bourbon? So we're negotiating right now so I can steal his brain power to scale it. So we're going to get there. Right now, the closest one we have is PMI Kickoff. That's foundational stuff. That's why military can see that real quickly. But
if they go to the main website and click a link and have an hour-long, self-paced tutorial kind of thing, and go, oh, I want to learn more. And you could save a lot of footsteps for all these people everywhere.
And we are. We're building this in flight, so that's good feedback. And I think we should have that kind of, whether it's a course we develop just on YouTube, whatever it is, but we'll develop this course with Tabitha. We'll figure this out. But great point, though. I like that. Now, if we can get a PMI military kickoff, it'd be great, too. We'll see.
I'm military, I'm loud.
Oh, good.
I would love to see something like this in the training assistance programs when veterans are transitioning from active duty to civilian life. I think one of the hardest things for me was being taught to acknowledge that I had been doing project management for years and how to recognize how I can bring that to the civilian side. And so it was a really rough couple of years transition trying to sell myself to a role that was equivalent to what I'd already worked really hard for years. And inevitably had to take a role 3 steps down in order to just get myself back into it. So I would just love to talk with you about that more to see how we can engage with transitioning service members a little bit more, even if it is like a YouTube video or something that we can send their transition programs to try and get that.
How did you find your success after the military?
I had to find mentors, and I beefed up my LinkedIn and I talked to everybody that I possibly could, because I think the most amazing piece of being in the military is the networking that you get to do through the various bases you end up at. So I wasn't shy from speaking to people, and it was, hey, how do I have this conversation? Hey, how do I translate this into XYZ? And I just had a lot of really great people that helped me along the path, but I recognize that that's not the standard. That's not 100% of our transitioning military force, and some people might be natural, more quiet and shy and not be able to reach out, and I try to coach people through that as well now for what people did for me, but just giving them the tools and they can use it how they want to if they're not that outgoing person.
You earned your PMP already?
Yes.
You served already?
Yes.
This right here is our PMI Military Challenge coin for certified veterans.
Thank you. I appreciate
Congratulations.
it. Thank you so much.
I believe we may have a new spokesperson. You're in?
For you or with you.
All right, we got to talk after this. We'll figure this out, all right? Because we need more advocates that are out there that actually went through it. Because your story is powerful for folks that are going to go through it. So seeing how we can get on bases and figure this out. The TAP program is DOD or DOW structure, so we try to get in there. I'm working with, PMI and I are working with Department of Labor. They have these employment navigators on 43 locations right now. We're getting information to them. But I think if we consolidate into one site that they can go to, hey, before you check out these resources, check out this video, could be short. Here's what we've been doing all this time. So I'll try to make this into a video, easy to digest and understand. Great question, and I look forward to working with you soon. Anything else? But that was easy, come on now. This can't be, who served here? Anybody serve? What branch?
Army.
What branch? Air Force. The only ones that can talk bad about other services are services. So if a non-veteran does it, we'll attack everybody together.
We come together.
We do come together. This has been an easy conversation right here. Question, comments, thoughts. So how can we as a community build what we need to these veterans and employers to hire folks? In my previous role, I was a career coach. I love it. That way you can just speak with people about, like Lee said this morning, what are your objectives? And if they come to me with an objective, we work through that. So I don't sell anybody on the project profession. I just advocate for it, make it easy to get into the profession, and build that community with these chapters. That's what we do right here. It's very challenging, but the more employers we speak to, for you for instance, we'll get with you as well, find out how we can push more of your jobs to our community. The more employers that embrace our military community, see the skills, they don't just see what the baggage could be, they can see the skills and the added value for our community. That's where it becomes a good business decision to hire veterans and retain them. Because that loyalty that the veterans have, that could be a long-term employee that you can count on for years and decades to come. Because they're used to being structured and working and being loyal. That is one of the biggest things a veteran brings to the community. No more, go ahead.
You showed a slide that had the military decision-making process. You kind of cross-referenced back. Yeah. Has someone taken that a step further and gone to PMBOK and says, this big book here in the military, here's PMBOK, can a cross-reference be created that would help that transition?
It's in the process right now. The question is, have we thought about how the PMBOK could integrate some of the stuff? So the military is very structured. We have 2 of our champions are now presidents of chapters. So they're getting involved with the PMBOK. How we can do this, how can we count for project experience, let's say a military spouse that's in charge of a military change of station. Right now that doesn't count because it's in a professional environment. In our eyes it is, but this is part of my job and our job as a community to bring in the military experience into the project profession. It's some way it's a two-way street. Veterans have to adapt to the PMI standards. But sometimes, if enough veterans come in here, we can change the standards or add value to standards as well. That's what we have to do, and it's a great point there. We're working it with 2 of our chapter presidents right now that are veterans that use the project profession in the military for years. The good thing is they're officers, so they were trained at young ages to do this right here. Good question. Right here? Wait for the mic, all right?
So, one of my coworkers who actually wanted to be here today, but he couldn't make it. He had to be on a project, unfortunately.
That happens.
He is currently in the military, and he also holds his PMP certificate. We both got ours in very close proximity to one another.
You passed the first time?
I did, yes.
Yeah,
but I
congrats.
took the PMICP, and I failed it the first time. So
That's
I knew
fine.
what I was getting
Yeah,
into.
you're good. Failing isn't final. That's all right.
But my question to you was, what would be the best way? One, do you work with active military folks, such as someone like him? And then also, because he's not here, what would be the best way for him to be able to reach out and get in touch with you to see what opportunities are there in order to help grow?
Great question. So we do work with the active military. My last job in the military was in retention, so we worked with every soldier. My job right now is to go back 3 to 5 years. So as people re-enlist in the military, I want them to receive a certification. Not be given to them, get the opportunity to give a certification, like the PMP. So we have all the funding resources, but for your friend, does he live here locally?
Yes.
Get him involved with the chapter. That is the best way to scale that, because the resources are already here. We put out information at PMI so much, and that's why the liaisons or the champions are here now. Again, I can't burn out. I can burn out. I don't want to burn out. I can burn out. So the chapter is the best way to get involved. Make sure they're actively involved in the chapter, though. We have in the military, we have AUSA, we have all these different nonprofit organizations in the military that we all are a part of. But until we get actively involved in organizations and immerse ourselves in that culture, well, when we do, we'll learn faster. That's what it comes down to. And I know it costs money, I get that, but the military funds it, though. What service? Army? Army. The Army funds PMI memberships globally if you go through the COOL program.
Yeah, that's how he got it.
Yeah. So,
Because I had to pay out of pocket.
oh, you seem jealous now, right? You seem jealous, all right? But you can say that you personally invested in yourself. He used the easy route, all right? There it is, yeah. Questions? All right. So I have a question for you, and this will get a coin here. This is my drink ticket from last night. Let me tell you a story about last night. So Lee Lambert was sitting at the table with me last night. He goes, Matt, where'd you get your drink ticket from? I'm like, the table over there. He goes, okay, I'll walk over and get it. I said, I'll get it for you. He goes, no, I'll get it. So I said, Lee, get a few of them. He comes back. He goes, here, Matt. Throws up like 20 of them on the table. I'm like, wow, Lee, not all those right here, right? But that's community right there. That's what we build. I met Lee years ago at a global summit, and we've been connected for years now. So I'm, as he mentioned, sucking his brain right now so I can be him one day. But the question for the audience is, how many service members transition each year from the military?
200,000.
Whoa! Don't raise your hand, man. Blurt it out, right? Good answer.
Thank
And they can be your next employee, okay? Don't dismiss them. They're great employees. What a question we'll have for you today. How many project professionals do we need each year for the next 10 years? 2 million. See? Don't raise your hand. Got to blurt it out, right? And you're going to get ones anyway. Somebody just earned his PMP yesterday? Yesterday. Congratulations. And he says to me, he goes, took one time. I love when people brag about that. But I'll remain humble, right? PMI exam humbled me. And I learned from that, right? And the only reason, so I don't need a certification. I'm not a project manager. But I want to learn, I want to experience what people went through getting the exams. I wanted to feel that same fear and anxiety. I wanted to feel how it was to overcome that. that's one of the reasons why I'm here is I want to take back this energy to take it to New York City next week or to Phoenix for the Global Summit. I want to take this back and share it because I can't live all the experiences. I can learn them, but that taking the PMI exam was definitely a lived experience I will take and share for the rest of my life now. Any more questions at all? We'll put you on a break if we have to, in the back.
I just wanted to know who that is training from.
My training, this wonderful individual, she's actually a member of the Carolina Kimberly here.
Is she a decent member or what?
So if you need training, reach out to her. She did a great job, or at least with the Marines. So yeah.
And a Marine too?
I was Air Force.
It's Air Force. We still respect you though, but thank you very much. All right, we can close it out then, but please stand by for I'll talk to you later and I'll talk to you about the jobs. And thanks for coming today, everybody. Had a great day.